All right, let's talk about something we all struggle with, saying no. We're going to get into how you can protect your time and your energy without that awful, heavy feeling of guilt that always seems to come along for the ride. Okay, so let's just get right into it because we have all been there. Someone asks you for something, a favor, your time, a commitment, and even when you know you can't do it, that tiny two-letter word just gets stuck. Why? Why is it so hard? Well, it usually comes down to a few core beliefs we've been taught to hold. And yep, these probably look pretty familiar. These are the stories that start playing in our heads the second we think about saying no. We think, oh, I'm being selfish, or they're going to be so disappointed in me. We convince ourselves we need some ironclad, perfect excuse. And this last one, this is the big one. We feel like we are personally responsible for the other person's emotions. This right here, this is the mindset shift that changes everything. The truth is, your job is to be clear, to be honest, and to be respectful. That's it. Their reaction, whether it's disappointment or anger or total understanding, that's theirs. It belongs to them, not you. So we get the why, but that's only half the battle, right? Now we need the how. So let's get practical. We're going to build a toolkit together with 5 specific, totally usable phrases you can start using like today. First up, we've got a classic. This one is your absolute go-to when you're just full. Your plate is full, your schedule is packed, your brain is full. It's simple, it's direct, and it's all about your current capacity. And here's why it's so powerful. You're not saying, I don't want to help you. You're just stating a fact. My bandwidth is at 0. And the mindset behind it is so important. Having limits isn't some kind of moral failing. It is perfectly okay to be at capacity. Okay, number 2, this is for those times when, let's be honest, you just don't want to. And you know what? That is a perfectly valid reason. This phrase is amazing because it's polite, it shows you appreciate the offer, and it just gracefully closes the door. The magic here is that you're separating kindness from obligation. You can be genuinely thankful that they thought of you while still saying, no thanks. You're acknowledging their gesture without taking on a commitment you just don't want. All right, time for a more direct approach. This one is your power phrase. When you're feeling pressured, or maybe someone's asking you for the 3rd time, this is incredibly effective. It is firm, it is clear, and it's really, really hard to argue with. And I really want you to absorb this mindset. Clarity is kinder than vagueness. Sometimes we think being wishy-washy is polite, but really a vague maybe just leads to more confusion and frustration later on. A clear, firm no actually respects everyone's time. I love this next one because it's all about reframing. You're not just saying no to their thing. You're actively saying a big, loud yes to your own priorities. It shifts the focus from rejection to conscious choice. And here's the bottom line. Your priorities are legitimate because they are yours. That's it. You don't owe anyone a PowerPoint presentation explaining why focusing on your work or your family or just getting some rest is a valid choice. And our final one. Oh, this is for anyone who has somehow become the default go-to person for a certain task. You know, it just kind of fell into your lap and now it's yours forever. This phrase is how you start to gently hand that responsibility back. Seriously, let this one sink in. Being capable doesn't mean being obligated. Just because you can do something or you're good at it doesn't mean you must do it every single time someone asks. This is how you break that cycle without making anyone feel bad. Okay, the phrases are great, you've got the tools. But what about what happens after you say the words? What about that awful, lingering feeling of guilt? That's the inner battle, and it's just as important as the words themselves. So let's look at 4 strategies to manage that internal storm. First, stop over-explaining. Second, build in a pause before you ever answer. Third, and this is a weird one, learn to expect a little discomfort. It's normal. And finally, always remember the trade-off. What you gain by saying no. This is so important. When you give someone a long, rambling list of all the reasons you can't do something, you're not closing the door. You're actually opening it up for a negotiation. You're inviting them to try and solve your problems. A short, clear statement is a period at the end of a sentence. It's final. And this is a game changer. That uncomfortable feeling you get, that guilt, it's not a signal that you messed up. It's actually a progress report. It's the feeling of your brain rewiring itself, breaking an old, unhelpful habit of people-pleasing. It means you're growing. So lean into it. It'll fade. All right, let's pull all this together. I want to give you a super simple, repeatable formula that you can use in pretty much any situation to deliver that perfect, guilt-free no. Here it is. It's a 3-part structure, and notice that 2 of those parts are totally optional. You can start with a little gratitude, thanks for thinking of me. Then comes the most important part, the clear, unmistakable no. And finally, if you want, you can add a very brief reason. So let's see what that looks like in action. Thanks for reaching out. There's your optional gratitude. I can't take this on. That's your clear no. Right now, that's your optional brief reason. See? It's polite, it's firm, it's effective, and it's done. And this all leads to probably the most empowering point we've talked about. Setting a boundary to protect your time, your energy, or your sanity is not something you ever need to apologize for. You can take "I'm sorry, but" right out of your vocabulary. So I'll leave you with this to think about. A no isn't just a negative thing. It's not just about pushing something away. Every time you say no to one thing, you are saying yes to something else. So what will you protect with your next no? Will it be your peace of mind, time with your family, the energy to finish your most important project? That's where the real power is.